Okay, so Liz, we're live on air, Google Hangout, being recorded and all that good stuff. If you could, considering that I interviewed you last year, but these kids don't know who you are, especially since you graduated 2 years ago. They would have been sophomores, and no seniors talk to sophomores. So if you could give them a little heads up about who you are, what you did at Hoover, and what you are doing, where you are, and what you're doing now.
Okay, I'm Liz Smith. I graduated in 2016. I was in high notes, high lows. I ran track. I was in Spanish club. Now I'm an accounting major at the University of Cincinnati, and it's my sophomore year.
Okay, cool. Thanks. So, Liz, I'm going to ask you a couple things. So, last time I talked to you, you were probably like, I don't know, week 3, week 4 of your freshman year. And you gave us a lot of great information, but I'm sure you have learned a lot more about college since then, about what it's really like. And you know, these kids, juniors in high school, they really don't know a lot about college, you know, especially not as much as someone like you who's actually there. So if you could, let's start with, I have some academic questions here. How much time do kids generally spend studying?
It depends on your major and the classes that you're taking, but I mean, you have to study. It's not like high school. Like I kind of could get away with not studying, but it's more like an AP class. I mean, it's not as bad as AP classes, but it's kind of like that where you're gonna have to put in the time. I'd say, I don't know how much time I would spend per class. Homework takes up most of the time though. It's like a few hours per period.
How much like reading, writing compared to high school? Like how much reading, writing do you say per class? How often are assignments due? Do teachers remind you a lot about assignments, or they just give you a syllabus and tell you nothing really? What's it like to be in a college class compared to a high school class?
Yeah, teachers they're not gonna like remind you. I mean, there's some, like I'm taking an online class right now, and so she'll like email us when stuff is due, but I've never had professors that like hold your hand and tell you when things are due. You pretty much just have to remember. So sometimes you'll show up and be like, crap, I didn't do that, and there's really nothing you can do. But there's not that much reading. Like they assign for you to read chapters, but if you go to class and you look at their PowerPoints and stuff, I don't think it's really super crucial to read it because the textbooks take a long time to read, and it's like I've done fine without reading every single chapter for every class. It's muted.
Sorry, I was just pulling up the next list of questions. I'm going to put them in the little chat menu here.
Yeah, I feel like
we have academic perks. I'll tell you, do you remember Zach Kyle?
No.
Okay, he just graduated last year and he's a freshman this year. So I interviewed him yesterday and he was talking a lot about learning communities. Are you in a learning community? Do you know what those are? Like, could you tell us maybe what they are?
Yeah, so I was in a learning community my freshman year, but it's only required for freshman year, so we don't really have it past that. But basically, it was a set of like 20 of us, and we were all business majors, and we were all freshmen, obviously, and so we had a lot of the same classes together. Like we all had business calculus, essentials of business, business pathways. I think there was one more, but it was basically just you got to know those people, and then we met once a week from like 9 to 10 on Fridays. And it was really good. I mean, it helped because it was a lot of people that you could reach out to if you had any questions about different homework and everything. And I'm still really good friends with a lot of my learning community, so I think that they're great. I know a lot of my friends that didn't get to be in a learning community because they were undecided or something. It wasn't the same for them, and it was harder for them to like find people. So it was just nice to have like a base group of people that you always knew when you walked into class.
What are you doing in terms of, are there any other academic perks like study tables, writing centers, maybe tutoring, anything else you've taken advantage of up there or down there?
Yeah, so there's study tables for different classes, and I know some teachers will post them online so you can see when like an accounting study table would be, or like, I know mostly it's for math, so there were like business calculus ones and then like regular calc and stuff like that. I went to one for math, but other than that, I mostly just studied like with other people that I knew. I didn't go to the study tables that often because it conflicted with my schedule, and usually it was only like specific times that you could go.
Okay. Now I want to talk a little bit more about housing. Your room looks different from last year. Are you in the same dorm?
No, I'm in an apartment style dorm this year. I switched because, well, I was thinking about living off campus, but here it's really hard because we're in the city, so you have to sign a lease like a year in advance usually, and then it lasts for like a year and a half. And I'm trying to co-op next semester, so it would have been really hard for me to like switch if I couldn't stay there. So last year I was staying in Stadal, and that's like a normal freshman dorm. It was tiny. We had a community style bathroom. It was a little rough. It wasn't awful though, but now I have like my own bathroom. I have a full kitchen, and I just share it with one other person, so it's really nice. I'm living in Scioto, so if anyone's been to Cincinnati, it's like the two twin glass buildings by the College of Business. So that's also why I live there, because it's really close. It's like a 2-minute walk to the College of Business, where before I was walking like 15 minutes in the winter, and it was awful.
I say it looked like it was really nice. So you had a cool view, like right out on the quad and everything. That was pretty nice. What other type of dorm options are there for students?
Well, if you're a freshman and you live far enough away, you have to live on campus. And so there's a few, like the one I lived in last year, where it's like just small rooms, and then you have like the community bathroom and like a community kitchen. It's not really a kitchen. It's like one oven and like a sink. There's also ones where you stay in a room with another person, and then there's also a room that has 2 people in it, and you share a bathroom. So I thought that would have been nice, but I didn't end up getting to do that my freshman year. But I liked those. Those were really nice. And then there's the apartment style, where you have like the full kitchen, full bathroom, all of that. And I think that's it.
Okay, I'm gonna hop back to academic perks, because you just mentioned something that I think is super important. Cincinnati and their co-op program is like the coolest thing going, and I think makes that college super unique and great. And a lot of other colleges are copying that now. Can you explain to the kids what the co-op program is? Like maybe all of the stages, including the stage that you're in right now.
Yeah, for sure. So we have co-op. You'll go to school your entire freshman year. You can't co-op your freshman year. But co-oping is where you can work for a company full-time. You don't do school at all for 1 semester. And you basically just learn a lot more about your field, and you're out there and you're actually doing it. So it's really attractive to employers. So right now, I went through my entire freshman year, and then I'm going to do the first semester of my sophomore year. And now I'm starting to apply for accounting co-ops in the spring. So basically, I can do it anywhere. It doesn't really matter. Like I could do it back home in North Canton, or I could do it in Cincinnati. I'll probably do it in Cincinnati because we have a lot of like Fortune 500 companies here. And it's just, there's more options here. So it's more likely that I'll get one. But basically, I would just, like, you can still live in the dorms if you do co-op, but they put, I forget what it's called. They put a hold on your like schooling, so you aren't going to get charged for your loans, because I know if you like stop going to school, then your loans will start charging you and stuff like that. But they put a hold on everything, and you go to work every day for a semester, and then you come back, and then you like co-op again. So it's every other one, but you don't have to do that. That's probably what I'm going to try to do, because I want to co-op more than once, probably like 3 times. For the engineers, if you come here, you have to do it. For the business kids, you don't, but I'm in the Circle of Excellence, which is an honors program, so I have to co-op at least twice. But the engineers, they co-op their fall semester of their sophomore year. So like my friends that are engineers, like almost all of them are working full-time right now. And then they'll go to school in the spring, and then in the summer they'll co-op again. And then in the fall they'll have school, spring they'll co-op, and they have to stick with their first company for 2 rotations. So like I know someone that's working at Makino right now, and then they'll come back to school and they'll work at Makino in the summer. And then after that, they could switch to a different company. But it's a little bit more serious for them because I know if they get fired from their co-op, they get kicked out of the College of Engineering. So it's a little bit more strict than business, and they give them a lot more resources to get a co-op. Like they have a whole engineering hiring website where they basically just click buttons and it applies for them. So it's a little different, but I'm excited for it.
It is pretty cool. I think that's the coolest thing about Cincinnati. I really do. And every other student I've talked to that goes there said it's a great experience. I want to talk about Circle of Excellence because I have no idea what that is, and you're going to tell me here in just a minute. But first, I want to know, you don't have to give me too much private information, but what I want to know is how is the co-op, how does that affect your like financial aid? Are you paying for school? Like, are you making enough money to pay for a semester? Like, how does that work for you or even for other kids like the engineering kids?
Yeah, so basically, my friend is co-oping right now, and he is working full-time, and they get paid really well. And so this semester, all he has to pay for is his dorm, basically. So he's made enough money to pay off this semester. So he didn't have to take out a loan at all. And then for the next semester, I mean, it'll make it easier for making payments and things because instead of just going through college for like 4 or 5 years and gaining like massive debt, you'll work so then you can put it into your savings or put it on your loan or whatever. And most co-ops, they pay well. It's usually like a minimum of like $14 or $15. They're usually pretty high. I mean, it depends on what you're doing, but I know engineers, I know one that's making 17 an hour, one's making 19 an hour, and it's their very first co-op. And it only increases from there. So, I mean, as you can imagine, they're making a lot of money, and they've been putting it on their loans, and they've been putting good money on it, and it's going to help them a lot because then that won't gain interest. And so for me, I'm not sure how much I'm going to make, but every time, like I worked this past summer and I'm working now, and I always take a percentage of what I make and I put it on my loans. So, I mean, it'll obviously be a lot more money because I'll be working full time, whereas right now I'm working part time and making less money. So, I mean, I think that co-op is a really good way to offset your student debt, especially if you're not getting like help from your parents or something. It makes it more manageable. It's less intimidating to pay it all at once.
I agree. How is it working? Because you have a part-time job at the Y right now, correct?
Yeah.
Right. How is it to work a part-time job and go to school full-time? What's that like personally, socially, whatever?
Yeah, so right now I'm taking 15 credit hours. My first year I took 18 the whole year, so I really couldn't work. And I told myself that my first year of college I wouldn't work because I didn't want to be overwhelmed. So I was like, I'm going to take as many credit hours as I possibly can, and they limit you at 18. So I took all those, and it's kind of awful. I mean, it's worth it if you're going to put in the work, but now I'm taking 15. I just started work last week, so it's been kind of exhausting because like for example, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have class from 9 to 11, and then I work from 2 to 6. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, I have class from 9:30 to 11, and then 12:30 to 2, and I go directly to work after that for 4 hours. So I'm putting in 15 hours a week into school and 20 hours a week into work. So, I mean, it's a lot. It's manageable. I kind of got lucky with my job. I really like the hours that I have. I know a lot of my friends that work weekend nights and stuff. That's a little bit different, so that'll affect your social life a lot more, especially if you're working at like a restaurant, the food industry, like sales. They're not going to let you not work on the weekends. But since I work in childcare at the Y, I'm in like the after school program. So if they don't have school, I don't work, and it's only ever until 6 o'clock. So it's been a lot of work, and it's been kind of hard to like manage my time, but it's not been horrible for me. It's been pretty decent. I haven't had that bad of a workload. So usually just getting home at 6. I mean, I'm not going to start doing my homework before 6 anyways. So, I mean, it's really not bad. I know for other people it's kind of rough because they work more than I do. but for me, it's really not bad. I would recommend it. Not your freshman year, because a lot of people get super overwhelmed and then they want to drop out or something, and then their grades fall. But if you get a grip on school and then you're ready, like your second semester or your second year, I would definitely recommend it, because then you can start having more money to spend or put on your loan or just to live on. Like, it's just nice to have money. I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to have a little bit more money.
Tell me about the circle of excellence, or whatever it is. What does that mean?
Yeah, so my freshman year, I was not in it, but I applied to be in the honors college my sophomore year. Basically, as an incoming freshman, you don't apply for it. It's basically like they'll approach you if they want you to be in it. So they pick like the top of the class or whatever, and then they'll put them in it. But you have to have a minimum GPA of, I think it's 3.5, and then you have to have like volunteer work. You have to have, I'm not sure how to explain it, but there's like a couple credentials, and the Circle of Excellence is only the College of Business. So we have a few. We have the Business Honors College, we have the Kolodzic Scholars, and then we have the Circle of Excellence. And so basically for me, like I said earlier, I have to co-op, I have to maintain a GPA of and so, oh, and I have to study abroad as well. So it was hard to get into it. After my freshman year, I had a 3.8 GPA, so I ended up getting into it because my grades were good enough and I took enough credit hours and I participated in enough organizations on campus that I did end up getting into it. And I'm super thankful because I get more opportunities. I get grants for study abroad, and so they'll help me with some of the money for that. And then I also get prioritized choice from like employers, because it just shows that you're putting in like a ton of work, and it's a lot of things that employers are looking for. So I definitely think that being in an honors college helps you in a lot of ways, but I don't think it's necessary. It's different.
It sounds like you've been very busy since the last time I talked to you, doing a little bit of everything. Tell me about the study abroad. What study abroad opportunity? Do you know where you're going? Do you have an idea, like a semester-long trip? Like, what's going down?
So there's a bunch of different ones that you can do. You can do the shorter term ones, are like a week, and then you can do ones that are like 2 weeks, and then you can do semester ones. So my roommate she's going to Australia actually for the first 2 weeks of winter break, which is super cool. I wish I would have done that one, but I didn't really know about it, so I didn't end up doing it. But they're all through the school, so you can go on ones that are just generally for all UC students, or you can do business-focused ones. So I know a couple of them are like going to China, and that's mostly like the economics kids. I know that there's just a bunch of different ones. I know last year they took freshmen to London, and they take them to a bunch of companies, and then they also do sightseeing and stuff. So what UC wants you to do is to benefit academically as well, instead of just traveling. So they'll take you to companies, they'll introduce you to people, you'll learn how different countries operate, and especially for business, it's important, because if you're doing business internationally, a lot of the customs are completely different. And so if an employer sees that you can do that, or you've had experience adapting like that with different companies and things, then you'll definitely be a more attractive candidate. So that's part of the reason why you have to do it. And also, it's just a really good opportunity. I mean, I know someone that went to Ireland for a semester. She didn't go to UC, but she just said it was amazing, and she took classes obviously for a semester, and she just said it was like the best part of her college experience.
Just so you know, your friend's going to Australia. Our winter is their summer. There's a pretty good chance it's going to be like 130 degrees there when she goes. So you might actually lucked out, because their summers over there are nasty hot.
Yeah.
Last thing, I want to get to this. You kind of mentioned clubs and activities you were involved in. I'd like to know about the social scene on Cincinnati. Keep it school appropriate. I know you're a pretty wild partier, but with all these like academic things that you're doing. But if you could tell me about like clubs you might be in, clubs, activities, groups? What type of things you guys do on the weekend? I know last year you told me about a lot of things Cincinnati did for student activities that they sponsored that sounded pretty cool. Just kind of tell us what you guys do.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different things that you can do. I know a lot of people do like intramurals, but since I go to such a big school, some of the opportunities you'd have at a small school you don't really have here because you kind of have to try out for things. So I would never do any of the sports ones because I'm not very athletic and I wouldn't want to have to try out, and it's kind of a big time commitment. But they are a lot of fun for people that do them. I'm mostly in like academic, business-based ones for networking because, I mean, in business especially, like knowing people is the biggest thing. So the more people you meet, and if you meet people at different companies, then it's huge. So I'm in Lindner Women in Business. So that's the name of our business school, is Lindner. And that's just women, and we promote women in business and stuff like that. And we have speakers come in and we network with each other. And then I'm doing a thing right now. It's a club. I just started it this year. It's called the International Buddy Program. So I got paired up with an international student coming to UC, and I got a kid from Austria. So that's been pretty interesting. If he like needs anything, I help him out, and we just kind of like hang out or whatever. But that one's been fun. I'm also a Circle of Excellence mentor, so I got paired up with a freshman, and we haven't really done anything yet, but if she needs anything related to like the business school, or if she's struggling or anything like that, she can come to me. So I'm doing that. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I was in the Economic Society for a little bit, but then I declared my major as accounting, so I kind of didn't see the point in staying in that one. But they do fun stuff. They take them on a trip every year. But anyways, there's clubs for everything. There's like dog club, I don't know, anything you can think of. There's astronomy club. There's a club where you just watch old movies. So I mean, I don't really have time. It was unfortunate my first year. I took night classes, and those are 3 hours long. And all of the clubs, for some reason, they would always fall on the night that I had my night class. So I just had no chance to join any of those like fun ones because they usually aren't on the weekend. They're usually weekday nights. And then this year, most clubs meet from 6 to 7, and I get off work right at 6. So I wouldn't be back here until at best like 6:15, 6:30. And so, I mean, it depends on your schedule, but you should definitely pick a club and stick with it, because sticking with it and advancing in it and becoming important in that club is way more important than just being like, I'm a freshman and I want to meet people and I'm just going to join like 20 clubs and go to all of them and all this stuff, because it's not about how many you do, it's about how developed you are in that club. So if you stay in a club and you become treasurer or something, it's not huge, but it's way different than just being a member for like 1 year. So yeah, there's a lot of options. It just depends on what you want.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your time, Liz, especially since you are like the busiest woman on planet Earth from the sounds of it. Thanks again for doing an interview. And I'm going to go ahead and shut the broadcast down. If you can just hold on the line for me for 1 second here.
Okay.